Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I wish we were joining on for better reasons. We have a group of coalition members, community member supporters that have a lot to say today about our president's most recent travel ban that goes into effect today, June 9th, 2025. We have a list of speakers. We have folks from the ACLU, from Myra, and also JCA. But without further ado, I will call on Munir Muhammad from.
Yep. Well, thank you so much. Jaylani Hussein, Executive Director of CAIR-Minnesota, JAYLANIHUSSEIN. First and foremost, I want to share with Minnesotans this latest racist, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim, anti-Black, and perhaps even anti-Asian policy that's been enacted impacts Minnesotans across this entire state. Once this was announced on Wednesday, we immediately began to hear Thursday morning from individuals in our community who are deeply concerned. We also heard from individuals who were actually relieved because some of the countries that they were planning to visit, they thought were going to be on that list. However, what we have seen in this policy is a continuation and expansion of the previous Muslim and African ban. 19 countries, 12 countries with full bans, and 7 countries with partial restrictions. One of the most important things that we want to identify today is the fact that this policy significantly impacts Minnesotans. Of all those 19 countries, Minnesota is overwhelmingly represented. And here's why. We have the largest Somali population in the United States. We perhaps have a significant Eritrean as well as Sudanese population here in Minnesota. Also, as many of you know, Myanmar is included, so we have a large and growing Karen population in Minnesota. Additionally, among the restricted countries, not full bans, is Laos. Laos is home to the majority or descendants of our largest Asian population in Minnesota, the Hmong population, who are now worried about what this restriction may mean for them and what the impacts that they will have. In addition to that, the West African countries that you saw, the East African countries that you saw, all of those nations are well represented with large populations living here in Minnesota. One of the significant aspects of this policy is the fact that it's a policy aimed to address security. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth than the fact of who is actually impacted by this policy. What we know is majority of individuals who come through immigration visas are individuals who are living in refugee camps. Many of them living in those refugee camps for over 20 to 25 years, meaning that their entire history for the last 20 years is well known, well documented, well supervised by the United Nations. They don't come, they come as actually a lottery. Not all of them are able to come, so very few are able to come. They go through one of the most vetting processes that exist today. And because of that, their immigration stories is always a miracle for them to come here. And beyond that, they build their chance of having the American dream. What we know is that this is not about security. It's a continuation of the anti-Muslim and particularly the anti-African ban. We've seen countries now added from West Africa that many of us probably don't know even their names, but these countries, there's not even a reason for them other than the overstay policy that is being used as a backdrop. We know that that policy is not fair, and in fact, probably there are more Canadians that are overstaying in the United States than anybody else. But in fairness, I want to share with all of you how deeply impactful this has been. For many people, the first Muslim ban we saw, or the first ban when it went into effect, many families who were in the process of coming here had to wait 4 years. After those 4 years, the 4 years of President Biden, they also faced many challenges. Because of the backlog, many of them were not able to get their immigration process and paperwork done. Every time that the process stops for an immigrant family to come here, the process becomes even more complicated. They have to continue to repeat certain things in the process, and we know because of the limitation and the reduction of the number of immigrants coming to the United States, that has been a significant majority of those individuals who were impacted by the first travel ban are significantly now impacted by the travel. What does that mean? That means a son unable to see his mother, a father unable to see his son, and a father unable to bring his own child to the United States. This is about family separation. And family separation at where? Even when we say the most legal way to enter the United States, which is the immigration process. This impact and this ban is racist, it's Islamophobic, it is hurtful, it separates families, it does not make us safer. And in fact, that is what we're asking for our community leaders across the state of Minnesota, our elected officials, and neighbors to talk to each other, most importantly, to condemn this ban. We know that the Supreme Court, at this current junction, has not been a friend to the impacted families and communities, but we are not going to give up. We are going to continue to do everything in our capacity to share the truth about the impact of this policy. That on its face value, it is not only flawed, it is a lie to the American people. It is a lie about what the policy will do, because the policy will actually not keep us any safer. Because the individuals that would have come through this immigration process are perhaps individuals who have been the most vetted by any policy or any procedure. We are also asking our faith leaders, our community leaders, to look around. One of the most interesting things in this past weekends, many families are going to see their children graduate from high school or college. And in those graduations, they see their classmates. And Minnesota has become a lot more diverse. You're seeing people waving different flags, speaking different languages, but celebrating together the accomplishments of what their children are able to do. Imagine now, in that audience, not being able to have your father see you graduate or walk across the line, or see your mother not being able to be there, or your brother or your cousin or your family members. This is exactly what this policy does. And we're encouraging everyone in our communities to speak up in this important time. Allyship is important. We're also asking for the continuation of the support of the No Ban Act. This is a policy on the federal level to ensure that future presidents do not do what President Trump is currently doing, using policies that are flawed, racist, and Islamophobic as a policy to be able to stop legal immigration to the United States. We already know what is happening in this country toward immigrants and undocumented individuals. We see how the policies have impacted and separated families, the fear that many people live. And finally, one of the things that we're also concerned about, and we've heard and read through early leaks, and this is why some people are relieved, is that there could potentially be other countries added. There could also be other type of challenges facing individuals with different immigration statuses. We also know that there are a lot of individuals who we have seen, students, as well as other people, individuals who are coming to the United States for business, among other things, are now considering not even coming to the United States because they're afraid that the policies of this government is unpredictable and may stop their education, may stop even their trade or business. And this impacts all of us in one way or the other. And so we're asking our neighbors to speak up. We're asking for the community to continue to speak up. We're asking for our leaders and legislators to speak up, and we're asking for individuals to support the No Ban Act. And finally, we understand our communities are frustrated. We also understand a lot of people have questions, specific questions about their immigration status. Should they travel? What is actually this means? And we'll be providing Know Your Rights presentations alongside with many of the great organizations. I know we have Immigrant Law Center Minnesota here today, but Advocates for Human Rights and other organizations that have been providing timely information to communities and families impacted by this policy and other policies as well. We are encouraging our community to reach out to credible information that will impact them specifically. Do not use information on social media, or don't take information that does not come from a credible place. And wait until you have all the facts before you make a decision about what you should do or what you should not do. We did provide an immediate alert to the community beginning on Thursday to let and alert people who had legal pathways or legal visas to come to Minnesota. We've just learned earlier today that we had a number of people that were able to change their tickets and be able to beat the 12 o'clock Sunday night or Monday morning deadline. We also know that there are so many others who were on the pipeline of coming here and now are unable to come. And for them, we say, our fight here does not end. We'll continue to fight and be resolved. And I think for us, after going through now 2 bans, we are not going to go quietly. This latest ban will only make us more resolved and even more focused. For the beloved community, we need community members to support, volunteer, donate to the immigrant organizations that are providing legal services, including the ones I just mentioned and others. And we ask everybody to be vigilant and to continue to let their legislators and federal government know that this ban cannot stand. It does not protect our neighbors. In fact, it creates a more racist and non-inclusive society. Thank you.
Thank you, Jelani. Next up, we have Myra Mohammed from the ACLU.
Hello everybody, I am here representing the ACLU of Minnesota, and we are proud to stand with CAIR and other allies in support of all Minnesotans whose lives have been upended and whose families face separation because of President Trump's newest discriminatory travel ban. President Trump recently signed a proclamation banning people from over a dozen countries from traveling to the U.S. This order builds on the Muslim ban from Trump's first administration, once again targeting people for their nationality, race, and religion. And like the first time, the pretextual and false justifications being used are national security and anti-terrorism efforts. It is a grave time when the government uses national security as a blank check to secure political gains. Throughout the post-9/11 era, we've seen the erosion of civil liberties and civil rights, especially with the passage of the Patriot Act. Under the guise of fighting terrorism, those in power have given themselves unrestricted authority and freedom to trample on our constitutionally protected rights. This new travel ban claims to be neutral, but the majority of the countries targeted are in the Middle East and in Africa. The ban is carefully crafted to hide its true and evident intent, which is to discriminate based on religion, race, and nationality. The U.S. Supreme Court's prior ruling during the first Trump administration affirming a broad presidential authority to discriminate and divide people in this way was a dark moment for the rule of law. It was wrong then, and it's wrong now. From our country's founding, immigrants have been an integral part of the fabric of our community's economy and our nation's origin story. This new travel ban is part of a larger pattern of the Trump administration's policies that are cruel and extreme immigration policies that also include mass raids, deportation efforts, detention camps, National Guard scare tactics. These cruel policies do not make our nation more secure. They betray our values and slam the door in the face of refugees and asylum seekers who seek safety in the United States. The ACLU of Minnesota will continuously oppose these discriminatory policies alongside our partners like CAIR. And just like with Trump's first Muslim ban, we will continue showing up, fighting for immigrants' rights, more just immigration system, and welcoming communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Myra. Next, we have Yan Chen from Myra.
We condemn the enactment of Executive Order 14161. The travel ban places undue restrictions and barriers to the basic freedom of movement, and we call out the presidential proclamation from June 4th as blatant racist, xenophobic, and Islamophobic propaganda. My name is Yan Chen, they, them. I'm a proud member of the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee, or MIRAC, and I'm proud to stand here today in solidarity because the fight for immigrant rights means defending the rights of everybody regardless of national origin. People often tout that they're willing to do anything and everything for the safety and security of their family and loved ones. But the reality is that the people who face this reality in a direct way often don't have a choice. The new order will ban entry from 12 countries, most of which are predominantly Muslim and or on the African continent, as we've heard before, and I will list them out now. Afghanistan, Chad, Congo-Brazzaville or Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Myanmar, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. 7 additional countries face the partial entry restrictions, including Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. The most vulnerable populations are now being denied rights by the U.S. government after enduring systemic injustice, and to that we say shame. No one chooses where they were born, and no one should be denied respect or basic human dignity based on where they are from. Seeking asylum is an internationally recognized human right. Moving to a new country is a normal process. I've done it myself multiple times. But legalese and prohibitive hoops to jump through are a structural injustice. Denying human rights based on vague fears and unspecified threats does not keep the people of the U.S. safe. And increasing the militarization within our own country only makes everybody in more danger. Because politicians refuse to safeguard lives, and because now federal agents are actively attacking our communities, we have to be the ones to stand up, regular citizens. And we must demand our rights and demand that judges continue challenging the rulings that have previously allowed for this order to be enacted.
Thank you, Yin. And then we have a representative from the JCA. Brandon's with us.
We can just start questions.
Any questions?
We'll do questions. Brandon's not here.
I can wait to
Yep,
sorry if you
yep.
covered this already, but what impacts have you heard from people locally? Has travel has family travel been disrupted? I mean, what kind of issues are you hearing from people who are here?
Yeah, so I think what we have noticed is that the first travel ban, or the Muslim ban, impacted so many people that the 4 years of Biden, who reversed that order, many of those individuals who were planning to come in the first 4 years never made it in the 4 years of Biden's administration. And partially because Biden's administration did not prioritize in expanding services and making sure that the backlog was actually addressed. Less people came during that period of time than was anticipated. Therefore, meaning a lot more people who were planning to come in those 4 years never made it, which means this ban now will impact significantly. Individuals who were expecting to be here 8 years ago are now maybe not even going to be here for 12 years and beyond. And so it's impacting two layers of groups. The other thing we've noticed is that in 2023, for example, I think the latest number we have is about less than 500 Somalis came through this program, less than 500. This is a Biden era 2023. We expected a lot more people. And majority of those people are people who are coming through family reunification, meaning a brother bringing a brother, a sister bringing a mother. That is usually what has happened. And that process has taken now for some families 7 to 8 years just to get through the process, to get clearance and then eventually to be denied, and then now wait has added. So what we have heard from many families is either many who are just worried about the fact that they may never see their father because he's getting old, or vice versa. Immediately we've heard also relief from some families who were wondering if they didn't know when the ban was going to be announced, and they were thinking that they don't travel at all this summer because the country that they may go to would be among the countries of the ban. So this ban has impacted individuals who are part of the 19 countries. It also impacted individuals who are not even on these 19 countries. And that is the kind of reality that we're facing. So many people are worried about what is the next thing. And unfortunately, one of the answers that we could not tell people is that there's no guarantee that no other additional countries may not be added at any moment. And so the unpredictability of that fact has made it extremely difficult for our community and how people are responding to this. Obviously, the reaction has also been a little bit different. More people were expecting it, so people were preparing for it. We just learned from our team today that some individuals were able to make it right before the Monday or Sunday, late Sunday, Monday morning deadline. Were able to change their tickets to come here, but it has significant impact, which means that for the next 4 years, many of these families will not see their loved ones here who were legally vetted to be here. So, and we've also heard from many people who now, because of this ban, are afraid to go to these countries. Even individuals who should not be citizens and people with green cards who feel comfortable enough that they have authority to come back to the United States. Some of them are really deeply concerned about the fact that going to these countries may mean they may not be allowed re-entry. Additionally, what we have seen is extreme questioning at the border. That has been something that we've heard from individuals who are citizens of the United States, people who are green cards, who are coming from either these 19 countries or other countries who have never seen this amount of harassment at the border. Very specific. They would go to the secondary screening, at an airport and they would find people who look exactly like them. No other Ukrainians were not being secondary screened, but individuals from these 19 countries were. Anybody wants to add?
Keilani, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Kind of given, before the election, you helped kind of with this movement to abandon Harris, and there were some in the Muslim community who voted for Jill Stein and,
Right.
and Donald Trump because he made overtures to the
Right.
community.
Right.
How do you feel about that decision now, that knowing then that there's a possibility that another travel ban could happen once he was elected, if he was reelected?
That's a really good question. First and foremost, I committed into those processes outside of the work of CAIR, because CAIR is a 501c3 organization, does not endorse candidates or does not get any politically make a decision on that. But from a personal perspective, and the work that I did through Abandoned Biden and others, at that time, and still today, banning and bombing are not the same thing. Losing an entire generation or waiting 4 years is not the same thing. And so I still stand by that decision. I believe that the Biden administration was responsible for the Trump coming back. He had an opportunity to denounce his genocidal path, which now the whole world has seen has created darkness over our entire nation at this moment and all of us. So it was we were put in a very difficult position, but I would prefer bombing. I would prefer being banned for 4 years over 1 day of living in the atrocious environment of the U.S.-sponsored genocide in Gaza, unfortunately. So,
Would you think the members of the Muslim community would make the same choice? Like, I think
absolutely. I think
Jill
that
Stein had
that was
51% of Muslim vote.
yeah. That was
had 21.
Muslims knew that decisive reality from the moment we even considered the idea of even considering abandoning Biden. We knew that risk and the challenge. We also knew that Muslims in America may suffer more because of this administration. We understood that. That was a risk we were willing to take to save the lives of children in Gaza and to end the war and to also save lives of children, of Israeli children, Israeli Jews, who also are facing feeling of insecurity. But what happened in Gaza, I think will outlive us, and it won't outlive us for a good thing. It'll outlive us because I think our great-grandchildren will hate us for the fact that this moment happened in a time when we all could have done something better. And I'm actually more optimistic that President Trump is more likely to end this war than Biden. I don't have hope that Biden would have done anything different if he got another 4 years compared to President Trump, which I think his reasons for ending this war is more not in line with what some of my values, but maybe more around not spending more money. So it was a difficult decision. We were put in that difficult situation. We did usher that we hoped that Biden administration or Harris administration, and they in fact doubled down. And we as Americans need to wake up and realize that our nation, every family on every cul-de-sac in this country wakes up every morning with the hope of sending their children off and living in a world where people can coexist in peaceful environment. That sentiment, that is the human value that shines in all of us. And I think we want a nation that projects that all over the world, not a nation that sends bombs and creates where people feel like the best place to come is here. We are part of that. And I think if we invest in peace, we may not need so many immigrants and refugees to come across the world. We need to become a nation that invests in peace. And I think that was the message that we were willing to send, that we were willing to sacrifice another travel ban, more Islamophobia, than to continue the onslaught of murder of hundreds of thousands. We don't know how many people are under the rubble. 50,000 or 60,000 is the latest number in Gaza, but it could be a lot more. And many, like I said, I'm just a reflection of my community. Overwhelming majority of people who voted didn't even vote for Jill Stein. Some people even voted for Trump because of the fact they felt that if they could do something to turn the tide, they're willing to take the risk.
Do you think Trump was being sincere, or that he lied when he went above and beyond to reach out to Muslim leaders to try and...
I think politicians are interested in people who are willing to vote for them at the beginning of the election. But he did end the war. I think the credit goes to him, not to President Biden, for that momentary ceasefire that we saw. And we're hopeful that maybe he and others can get back to that point where we can end this genocide, and I think bring us back a little bit of normality.
Could I hear some thoughts around the exemptions of the travel ban? Because I know some weren't part of the first travel ban. For example, in this latest travel ban, some exemptions are green card holders or dual citizens, refugees granted asylum, Afghans who helped the U.S. troops. Do you feel like because of these exemptions, the impact will look different in Minnesota?
I think for the 12 countries, I think the family reunification and the overwhelming majority of immigrants coming here, that there's no hope for them because the way the ban is written. For the other restrictions, it's yet to tell how it'll be applied. What there may be some pushback, maybe they're not. So they're usually what we've noticed in the previous travel ban is that we look at every possible way to challenge it. Legally, sometimes even through different methods. And we also want to know how it's actually implemented. Maybe these restrictions are not restrictions. They may be a full-out ban. And I have to be mindful that President Obama had a waiver program for some of these countries. For some countries, it was a waiver. For some countries, it was an all-out ban. Like there were 7 countries where actually a ban. So those people were not coming through. In fact, Somalia was one of those countries where even the current president of Somalia was denied entry to the United States. The current president of Somalia was not able to come to the United States because of the Obama ban. So one thing is policy, how it's implemented will also help us guide providing better resources for the community. So right now it's too early. Today's the first day it's impacted. Obviously, we're encouraging community members to reach out to their loved ones and family. And for anybody who has specific needs about this particular ban and restrictions, we're asking them to reach out to CAIR, Immigrant Law Center, Advocates for Human Rights, organizations that have been doing the work specifically responding to these things. I know the Hmong community and the Karen community are obviously waking up to this, and they don't know what these restrictions would mean. Also, the other countries that we have mentioned as well, Cuba and a number of other countries. So it's too early right now to know how even the restrictions will be applied, and so we'll provide guidance as much as possible. There's still travel advisory. We're still encouraging people to consider talking to their immigration attorneys about traveling outside the United States, just in case that they want some reassurances and be able to be with solid ground. Is there anybody else to add? Oh, Brandon's here. I'll have Brandon say a few words.
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Schorsch. I am the combating hate organizer at Jewish Community Action, and we are here today in solidarity with our many friends here in the community who are bound to be impacted by this latest executive order from the Trump administration. Jewish Community Action has long stood in solidarity with immigrant and migrant and refugee communities. And many people within the American Jewish community themselves are only about a generation or so removed from being refugees themselves. It's horrifying seeing the way that people are being treated right now. I've been thinking a lot, and we've been thinking a lot about how people, when they're deemed no longer legal, when they're stripped away of those rights, very quickly people can be treated as absolutely nothing at all. And it is frightening to see the implementations of that starting to go and roll out in various parts of the country right now, including at Lake and Bloomington last week. And we're all concerned about what a ban like this looks like in implementation. So that's why we're here with our siblings, and that's why we're going to continue being here. Thank you.
You know, if the national organization or Muslim organizations have had any discussions with President Trump, or do you think that he'll listen to the Muslim community?
I think President Trump should reach out to the American Muslim population, including the Palestinian Americans, to talk about what is happening. I think he benefited from the Muslim vote in swing states, and so I think he owes an opportunity to listen to them. Muslim vote is not free, and and that's obviously true in this past election. So that is always available, and we encourage folks who are to think about that as well. But as a community, we are resilient. We have been facing an undaunted increase of Islamophobia across the United States, here as well here in Minnesota. But our community is resilient. We're going to continue to project the best of, I would say, the best of America, which is to encourage our nation to be the best, not just for us neighbors here in our own domestic issues, but also for the global world. And if we can do that, I think we would have done justice to being Americans by making this nation be a nation for good all over the world and here. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah.